Cool. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for coming along tonight. Braving the freezing cold temperature. I've been looking at my weather app constantly for the last couple of weeks, trying to figure out when it's going to stop being freezing again, and it's about a week away, just so we know. But thanks so much to Onyinye and Nick, wherever Nick has gone, for having me along tonight. I'm going to talk a bit about what the Edinburgh startup ecosystem is. I'm going to talk a bit about how you can interact with it in a meaningful way, and give some sort of practical advice in terms of next steps. And before I get started, is that going to work? Can I just apologize for my appearance? I was wearing a really nice shirt, and I spilt a cup of tea on it just literally an hour ago, before I came across the road. I was dressed better than this for tonight, so apologies. But I'm Ollie. I'm Ollie Littlejohn. I'm VP of R&D at Codebase, which is just across the road. My day job is actually researching startup ecosystems right now. That's what the R is, and I'm trying to develop a software product around startup ecosystems as well. So very early days. I actually worked for Codebase for 8 years before that, building the community there, so I have a lot of experience there. But I've just come back after working in a startup for the last year and a half. I joined almost by chance. I was working in a pub, and I got offered the chance to cover the reception in what was Codebase for a month, and that was nearly a decade ago. And I sort of stuck around, and my role grew and grew and grew, and now Codebase has become this. Can I check who in the room's heard of Codebase? Cool. Okay, a good percentage, but it's a company that supports startups, and we're all across Scotland. There's nearly 100 staff now supporting software startups to grow, and that's what we do. I'll come on to that a bit more in a bit. But I want to talk about what the startup ecosystem is, and also kind of demystify what a startup is as well, because I think we throw the word around a lot recently, and I think there is a definition that I quite like, which is from a guy called Steve Blank, which I won't read. But the key word that I really like in this is that temporary thing. So this idea that a startup is a temporary organization. It's the startups that I know in Codebase, they don't know quite often who their customers are, or what the market they're trying to approach is, or even what their product is sometimes. They're trying to figure all of that stuff out, which makes them very different to a traditional business where quite often, if you open a bakery, you kind of know that you're selling bread to people nearby, or maybe to businesses or something like that. But startups, there's a lot more uncertainty about them. And I think that's really important for a point I'll come back to. And this ecosystem, this idea that there's this sort of network of connected businesses, this is a prime example of it here tonight. All of these people who connect and can learn from each other. And primarily, the startup ecosystem is about supporting startups to grow or to be their best selves. But it's more than just startups, and people forget this quite often, that startups are the most important part for sure. And there's lots of them about, and there's a whole building full of them just across the road in Codebase and around the city. There's other places as well. Scale-ups, so startups that have actually made it and are growing, super important because people can look to them for ambition and say, hey, we can do that. There's only really a couple of those in Edinburgh, I would say. Skyscanner and FanDuel. Who's heard of Skyscanner, out of curiosity? And FanDuel, the less famous one. But those are the kind of two main big scale-ups. And the people there, they've done it, and now they talk to the community again, and they support them, and they mentor, and that's great. They feed right back into the community and the ecosystem to support. Investors are a really valuable part of the ecosystem as well. That's probably goes without saying. It's great if you can get someone to give you money to de-risk and grow your business. It's really important that we connect with them and make them feel part of the ecosystem. And ecosystem builders, I'm going to come back to that one in my next slide, because I think that's actually kind of the crucial bit here. The government's just necessary. We need to make sure this is a place where people can live and get visas and work, and people want to live here and stay in Scotland. Can't undervalue that when you're growing. You need people who want to be here and work for you. Corporates like lovely KPMG hosting us tonight. Thank you so much. Woo! Yes. I've walked past this building 1,000 times. I've never been in, and it's just lovely to actually come in and share the space.
Delighted to have everyone. Honestly, it's great.
But corporates are so valuable. Listen to the programs, the amazing things that corporates do. And it's not just KPMG. It is all of the big businesses. But also, I mean, if you're a startup, especially if you're selling to enterprises, These are your customers as well. I know so many people in that building and Codebase across the road who would kill to walk in here and like have a chat with some of the people, because getting those customers, those big customers, it's so valuable. Having corporates is brilliant. And professional support services, you need accountants, you need lawyers, you need HR people. That's just a fact. And I think like universities and colleges get a bit of they don't get enough of showing in the startup ecosystem, but they're so valuable. These are your future employees that they're training up in there. There's research opportunities, grant opportunities. And I think it's crucial that we involve them in this huge ecosystem. Now, I like thinking about the ecosystem as these kind of nodes. There's probably a better way of thinking about it in terms of the connections between those different nodes, like how startups interact with corporates. And then maybe if you've been in the pub and had a couple of drinks, you start talking about the connections between the connections. But I think it gets a bit philosophical at that point. And for me, just to ground myself in reality, I like to think about these are the components of a thriving ecosystem. And what I really want to talk about tonight is how ecosystem builders can help you as startups to grow your business. Because this is a relatively new term. I saw Nick Murray post about it on LinkedIn like a few weeks ago, but people are starting to call themselves this more and more. And I think it makes sense. These are people who are like evangelical about startups and supporting entrepreneurs and helping them grow. And often they're individuals like who just do it because they love it. I'll come on to two of them in a little bit. Sometimes they work for organizations, so for KPMG, or for Nick works for Barclays, Onyinye's at Codebase, I'm at Codebase as well. We're getting paid to help startups grow. Like that is our job, it's our remit, we love doing it. And they're super, super valuable. They can make or break your startup, in my opinion, because when you've approached, you've seen these, okay, I can only go forward. It's fine, we'll just go forward, never look back. Oh, now I go back, amazing. Okay. So these people can be super, super helpful to you, but in Edinburgh alone, these are a handful of the ecosystem builders who can help you. And I ran out of space, there's loads more, and I promise you I spent ages trying to like make everyone's logos the same size, like not to make anyone feel like bigger or smaller than anyone else. There's so much support out there that it's actually kind of overwhelming. And I'm sorry, KPMG aren't here. Okay, next time, yeah, mental note. But there's so many options of where you can go, and I think if you're a new founder, especially trying to just break into the ecosystem for the first time, that first step is really difficult. And so making sense of it all is tricky, and I'm in this privileged position of having spent the last decade in this world, and I kind of know all of these organizations reasonably well, or kind of know what they do. But my suggestion would be to all founders is to try and find other founders, always. That should be your goal. If you're a startup, you want to talk to startups. Like, it's great to talk to corporates and to ecosystem builders and academia, but really, you want to find the shortest path to other people who are on your journey. That's the crucial thing for me. Those people who have made the mistakes for you already, like that's so vital. If you can find people who are 2 years ahead of you, 3 years ahead of you, all the better. But doing a startup, building a business, it's hard and it's lonely and you need support. And I would say using ecosystem builders to find other entrepreneurs is crucial at the start of your journey. But I didn't want to give that as that's like the high level, like here's what I'd suggest doing, but I wanted to give like some actionable stuff you can do today. And if you want to take photos, I'd suggest this is like to add to your to-do list. If you really want to start learning about the Scottish technology ecosystem, or what's going on in Edinburgh, these are two great newsletters, both run by people who are ecosystem builders, Jamie and Rob. They don't get paid for it. They do it because they love the ecosystem and they want to support and help people as best they can. Every Monday, they send out a newsletter of like, here's the latest news, here's the latest events, here's all the stuff that's going on. Super valuable to just understand what's happening. There's events. I feel like events aren't for everyone, but I feel like this group is kind of self-selected for we go to events because you're here tonight. So I thought I'd include some you can go to. There's so many in Edinburgh. Again, your ecosystem builder can help you find the right one for you. I thought I'd highlight 3 that are coming up because there's so many that's going on. But These are mostly free events that you can just sign up to and come along to, and there'll be free food. The food probably won't be as good as tonight, just to warn you. Like, it'll be like Papa John's pizza most of the time. But you can come along. There's coffee mornings. So Unfiltered is a coffee morning. So if going to evening events isn't for you, if you have, often these meetups are in the evening, and I have 2 small kids, and like this is like my one night out a month, you know. So I think if there's stuff going on during the day, you can find it as well. So I suggest coming along to these. And lastly, there's some great programs out there as well, and these are mostly free. So for us, where has Nick gone? Where is Nick? Oh, is he? I'm giving you a shout out right now. Nick is one of the people that runs For Us, which is just a great organization who take founders on trips all around the world. It's generally fully funded, so the Scottish government will fund you to go to, where have you been, Lisbon, New York, Helsinki?
Silicon Valley, often Austin in a few weeks.
Yeah, so, and Nick will take 15 entrepreneurs on this trip for a week or so, say, and I guarantee you, by the end of that trip, like 3 of the people you went with will be like your best friend. They'll be like 10 years later, you know, you'll be reminiscing about how you met and like the businesses that you've built, or maybe you didn't, maybe they didn't succeed, but you'll find like amazing people that you will, you know, be your partners for that journey. And so TechScaler as well. TechScaler is delivered by Codebase, who I work for, and I feel like there's a sniper in the building across the road who'll like shoot me if I don't mention it, so I feel I had to bring it up. But it's also awesome. It is also really good, and like I'm really proud of what we deliver. It's free, but there's self-directed courses, so if you want to learn the basics of Startup 101, you can just do it in your own time at home. There's programs that you can join either remotely or in person in Edinburgh or all around Scotland. Everything from starting out to you know, full-on scale-up. You've got 500 employees. Oh God, how do I cope with this? And yeah, totally free. So if you're looking for your next step, consider joining one of the TechScaler programs. But I want to add a couple of caveats to this advice. I've been in this world for like 10 years now, and I see people who are they do this stuff all the time. They're just constantly at events, and they're constantly doing programs, and they're constantly just sort of in the ecosystem, and they've not actually built a company. And if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a startup, there's actually a moment when you need to start having some customers and having a product and selling. It's really easy to just talk about it at these kinds of things, but I think like if after a year of doing your business, you're like, I'm spending all my time at meetups getting pizza and free coffee and stuff, but I'm not actually growing the business. Like, take a moment to consider what your priorities are. And secondly, Edinburgh is a small city in the grand scheme of things. We actually punch above our weight for startup success. Again, with Skyscanner and FanDuel, that's unusual to have 2 big organizations like that. But you need to remember that the world is huge, and like sometimes the best support for you won't be in this city. And plugging into more global networks is really, really important. I mean, as simple as LinkedIn, being able to access support from outside of Scotland, super valuable. And I guess I just wanted to say, like, Codebase is committed to having everyone is welcome there. And I think this is true of most of the startup, the ecosystem support people that I know. They want everyone to succeed, and they want to help everyone, no matter what your background is. People really have got your back, and they want to make sure that you get the best out of the ecosystem. But that also comes with a caveat that it may be the first people that you talk to might not be the right people. I don't want to name names, but let's say Codebase, because I work there. It may be that you talk to Codebase and discover they are not the right people to give you the support. They won't connect you to the right investors or help you with the problems that you're facing right now. And it may be that you need to speak to another organization and find them. But I promise you, you'll find someone who will be your champion and support you and connect you to other founders. It just can take a little bit of time. And yeah, this is, I think when approaching these organizations as well, it's really good. Like, you need to reach out to them, I think. Like, you can't expect them to come to you a lot of the time. And that can be as simple as a message on LinkedIn, or like a Twitter DM, or like just an email. Remember them? And getting in touch with them and saying, like, here is what I need help with is really, really important as well. So all of these organizations, that big mess of of people out there. They all want to help, but they all want to know what to help you with. And I think that's crucial, is say, hey, here is what I need help with. And yeah, I don't want to be like, it's everyone else doing the help. I'm going to offer myself as well. I'm not quite as connected to the startup ecosystem as I was because I've just been away for a little while. But my whole thing is, who gets to build software has changed. So if you want to do a software startup, if you want to do an app or a platform or something like that, and you're not a technical person, you can't code, you can still build it. It's possible. I know it. I've seen it. That's the world I've been in for the last couple of years. And if that is who you are, and you're struggling with that step of like, how do I build my software when I have an idea, but I can't code, I'm delighted to come and help you like learn how you can do that really quickly and for like very little money, compared to what a coded solution would cost. So that's my area of expertise. If you want to talk about that stuff, I'm always open, but I'm open to talk about anything, really. I'm just up for whatever. And come on. Come on, it's the last slide. The last slide is just my email address. I could just tell you instead. Oh, that's saying, okay. Oh, okay, hang on. It's come over, it's here for some reason. Well, I hope that's legible, right? Yeah. So I just thank you so much for listening to my views of what the ecosystem is and how it can perhaps help you. I'm genuine, like please email me, and like if you want to have a follow-up coffee or a chat about what I can do for you or what Codebase, or I can help connect you to other people as well. I'm delighted to do that. But just to say, you're welcome. We'd love to help support however we can. So thank you.